Again, speaking to the section, if I may, and I introduced an amendment that was unfortunately ruled out in relation to the notion of attaching social and employment conditions to the pretty enormous bundle of taxpayers and borrowed cash that we're going to be injecting into the economy over the next period of time. It's not a radical idea. It's something that's done routinely across member states of the European Union in one fashion or another. I am a great believer, and I was a great supporter of the concept of the introduction of the temporary wage subsidy scheme, and I think in many ways that was the best of social partnership, if I can call it that, in practice, where government, the trade union movement and the employers essentially came together to design a scheme very quickly to support business, support working people and support our state through a very, very difficult time. And I understood that this particular scheme was obviously developed literally in the dark of night, turned around very, very quickly to ensure that people got cash when they needed it most, and that companies would not close their doors, would be maintained, they would continue to operate, and that relationship between the employer and the employee would continue through some very, very dark times and give people some hope for the future. I was hopeful that the Minister might respond to my repeated calls and the calls of others for the attachment of conditions to this new scheme that is being proposed and which I support. And I said in my second stage speech that the Labour Party had proposed, along with the Irish Congress of Trade Unions, the evolution of this scheme into a German-style short-time work scheme, but with conditions. And one of those conditions, for example, should have been a requirement to ensure that there was recognised training opportunities provided under the scheme as well, because I've said ad nauseum in this chamber and elsewhere that we have one of the lowest levels of in-work training across the European Union, and our future competitiveness and productivity is going to depend on the agility and skills and experience of our workforce. But it's also important in this respect as well. Here's a golden opportunity for the state to paint a picture of a better future and leverage its authority and power to try to create better outcomes for working people. And I say that in reference to a couple of particular sectors. We know that the tourism and hospitality sectors require state support at the moment. They've been at the front of the queue, and I can understand that, and they've made some serious demands on government. But what you will never hear, and the voice that's been crowded out on this, is the voice of the worker in those sectors. The voice of the worker who is working in precarious conditions, who is paid a very low rate of pay, and has very little future in terms of a full-time horizon and career in that sector because of the precarity involved and the uncertainty. So here was an opportunity, not by the way to reinvent the wheel, but to impose a condition on employers who are benefiting from this scheme to, for example, in the hospitality sector, engage in the joint labour committee system, which has been law in this country since 2012, but is being routinely vetoed by employer bodies who want to drive down their labour costs and flip staff as much as they can and demand maximum flexibility from their staff. The joint labour committee system works very well in the contract cleaning sector and in the security sector, where good progressive employers come together with trade unions to develop customised solutions for their sector, which is based on decent pay, a level playing pitch for businesses and decent conditions. And it's worked very, very well. But routinely, the hospitality sector, restaurants and the hotels have decided that they don't want to engage, and that veto is continuing to be permitted. And unfortunately, the previous government voted down legislation from my party, developed by myself and my colleagues in the Seanad late last year, that would have ended the employer veto. Sectoral collective bargaining is the norm across the European Union. Now, if we're to develop ways in which we can tackle market inequality and income inequality in this country, this is how to do it. But we have decided, like we didn't attach many conditions to the bank bailout, there's no conditions to the amount of cash that will be pumped into various businesses over the next period of time. Cash that I accept is required. Here's an opportunity to do something different, to try to rewrite the rules and make Ireland a little bit more equal. But unfortunately, we have failed to do this and failed to use this opportunity. I wonder sometimes, do we ever learn the lessons of the past? We have a problem with low pay in this country, and it is haunting us today, and it will haunt us in the future. It will haunt us for generations to come. 23% of all Irish workers are considered to be low paid. It's not something we should be proud of, and we shouldn't, in a post-pandemic Ireland, just accept that any job will do.